Dawson Photography Conversations. It's June 16th, 2014, and today we're in Edmonton, Alberta, in the studio of Ryan Parker, an actor, writer, director, musician, and photographer, and basically a jack of all artistic trades. He has a theatre arts diploma from MacEwan University and a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the University of Alberta. After university, he continued his training in classical theatre and learned to play a number of musical instruments, which has given him the opportunity to perform on a number of established stages, such as the National Arts Centre in Ottawa, the Barbican Theatre in London, England, the New Victory Theatre in New York City, and many other stages across Canada. He is the co-creator of the ukulele cover band, the B. Arthurs, and the sketch comedy troupe, Blacklisted. And of course, you can always find him behind his camera, taking amazing photographs. So join me in my conversation with Ryan, a bit of an artistic Renaissance man. Welcome to Conversations, Ryan.
Thanks.
And thank you for letting us come into your studio.
Yeah, thank you for coming into my makeshift studio.
So I think I'd like to start by getting you to tell me how all this craziness began.
Okay. Which part?
All of it.
Yeah, okay. Geez, I don't even know where to start. I guess with my theater career, probably.
Sure.
Would be best. I started kind of through the back door on it. That's kind of my life story. It's kind of by accident, everything happens. I was in grade 12 at high school, obviously, and I needed 3 credits to graduate. I was not a very motivated student. I was a misfit, probably would be the best way to describe that without, getting too involved into the things that I did. And I needed 3 credits to graduate, so I had a spare, so I had to fill that spare, so I took the easiest thing I possibly could, and that was drama. And then, it was like a light bulb kind of switched on. And with the help of my drama teacher, it drove me into a completely different side. All my grades started to go up.
Yeah.
And, it was because of her, actually, that drama teacher, that I pursued it afterwards. She forced me to apply for a post-secondary institute in theater and got me the audition and got me the pieces and taught me them and helped me pick them. And,
Wow.
Yeah, she pretty much pushed me into that, which was the best thing that could have happened.
I think that's a very common story with a teacher that can all of a sudden, like you say, just flick that light switch.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, away we go.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were very fortunate, obviously, that
Absolutely.
that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, I had very supportive parents as well. I think a little hesitant at the beginning, considering my choice of what I was doing, but completely supportive throughout the journey, and even more so as it continues, Yeah. So that's helpful, but it was that first kick in the pants from my drama teacher that kind of knocked it all off.
Yeah, and so then you went to Grant MacEwan.
I went to Grant
U of A,
MacEwan.
and
Yeah. I went to Grant MacEwan. I took 2 years there, and I think it wasn't until about halfway through the second year that I realized that it was actually something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And by that point, the training was kind of almost done. So I was a little disappointed with that. So I didn't really grasp I was 19. Trying to learn how to act at 19 is not the easiest thing, because you're kind of still just figuring out who you are. And it's kind of like, it's not, being more mature is a better thing for this career, for any career really, to have things kind of set in. So I got out and I took 3 years and I acted, and I became a part of the union, and like I became a professional. But 3 years in, I was kind of antsy and not doing the stuff that I wanted to do, and working with people that I knew had a better knowledge of what was happening. And it was like I was using a hammer for everything, and they had all these other tools, and I had them too, but I didn't know how to use them. I was like, I don't know, this is a... So, and those were mostly people that went to the U of A, so I applied for that program and got my degree, and that was another huge shift in my life.
Yeah.
Kind of approach things differently. And I was 25 when I went back, so had experienced a lot more of the ups and downs of life, and so I could apply that to the craft. Yeah.
So you act professionally.
Yep.
Do you write?
Yes, actually, yeah. I was a part of a sketch comedy group, and we've kind of dissipated. We're all still good friends, but we started in a theater probably the size of this studio, playing for people. There was like 6 of us in the group, and sometimes we would play to people like less than our cast. Like there would be like 3 people in the audience. We did midnight performances. It was very dark humor, but it grew some wheels, and we actually got a television show. And so we were writing, and it was on APTN. It had a kind of Aboriginal spin because 2 of the people in the show were Aboriginal, and that worked for 3 seasons. So yeah, I write that way, and I've written some tiny things, but nothing in a full compassing, like I've written my own play kind of thing. I have a lot of plays that I've started, but I've never finished them.
Yeah. So it's mainly acting.
Mainly acting, absolutely, yeah.
What sort of work have you done that you say to yourself, wow, that was absolutely incredible?
Yeah.
And I feel really good about what I just did.
Yeah. There's been a few, typically they're personal projects, except for, like all of them are pretty fantastic, but Catalyst Theatre, right after U of A, I got a job with Catalyst Theatre doing Nevermore. It's about Edgar Allan Poe, and it started very small. We went up to Fort McMurray and workshopped it, and then we traveled to Ottawa with it for a festival, and then Toronto a festival, and then to Vancouver for the Push Festival, and then it just continually kind of started to get bigger and bigger. We traveled to London with it, not London, Ontario, London, England, and then also to New York. So it's had a lot of, it's gotten me a lot of places, and it's a really great show. It's kind of everything that an actor dreams of doing on stage. Mm-hmm. You can't go too far. Typically it's like, okay, pull it back, and it's like, no, you have to go further. So that's like great, walking around in a lunge all the time and stuff. So yeah. It's really wild. It's very gothic fairy tale. So, and it's continually something that I've been a part of throughout its incarnations, and it's a great piece of work too, because every time we come back to it, the man who is writing the music, the play, and directing it is always workshopping and always reworking the script, trying to make it better. And it's just kind of like he's a great mentor. Mm-hmm. That you've taken this show to somewhere like New York, but you're still not happy with it. It's still you still know you can go further, you can go deeper, you can make it a better piece of art. So you work hours and hours on a play. You're getting to the end of the run. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? The end of the run, and now what am I going to do? Does that happen often, or? Yeah, it does. Typically, in this kind of life, it's contract work. So you live in the unknown a lot, where you don't know what your next year is going to be. Like right now, I don't know. I know what I'm doing up until next May of 2015, I guess. Hopefully. Haven't signed any contracts, but I know that there are leads, and I've been asked to be a part. But after that, I have no idea. So if I try and plan something in the next 5 years, there's no way that I would know what I'm going to be doing. And then still, something could shift, and those two contracts that I've pretty much set in stone could possibly fall apart, and then I wouldn't have a job. But specifically per contract, there are two ways you can approach something like that. You can get really sad and morose that the project is finished, or be happy that it's done. And it depends on the project usually. But I'm always, nostalgic of it, but I'm not going to sit in that. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to move out of it. Because if it went on forever, it's not the kind of lifestyle that I live. You know what I mean? It would be the same thing over and over again every day is just not my thing, obviously. So I'm always usually pretty happy because it was a good experience.
Good. Let's talk about your music.
Yeah.
Which is interesting also.
Yeah. Once again, another kind of through the back door story. A friend and I, well, actually, to find the main root of how I got into music, I knew that being an actor, the more skills I have, the better. You're constantly told that in school. Learn as many things as you possibly can. It'll only help you down the road. So I was like, I should learn guitar. I have a guitar. I've never, like it was my father's guitar. I never played it. I took lessons maybe for like 6 months when I was a kid. My mom put me in them. It just sucked so bad. I hated it. So I was out of college, living with a roommate. I was like, I'm going to learn guitar. And then I got this theater gig where I was touring around high schools and junior highs all around Alberta. So I couldn't take the guitar with me. So I went to a music shop. I was going to get a tiny guitar, just like a traveling guitar. But they were like $500. And that was like way too much money at the time. So I saw a ukulele for $20. And I thought, okay, I'll learn the ukulele. Then I'll know chords for songs. Then once I learn the chords on the guitar, at least I know the songs. I just have to learn the new chords, like the new fingering. But then I took this ukulele up to Fort McMurray, and I'm sitting in the worst hotel room in the world and playing these pop songs and going, there's something here. So I asked my friend Sheldon if he wanted to join a ukulele cover band with me. And he said no. Very, very strongly said no. And so it took me about a year of convincing him that we needed to start a ukulele cover band. And so we started as a joke, pretty much. We started busking at the Fringe, and it just continually kind of became this thing that was getting bigger and bigger and bigger until we were approached by CBC's Irrelevant show to write our own comedy songs. And with my comedy troupe, with the sketch comedy troupe, the Blacklisted was the troupe, and then the TV show was Caution May Contain Nuts. We had been doing that. We've been writing comedy songs in kind of different genres, like boy band style and stuff like that. So it wasn't totally outside of our world. Just Sheldon and myself have never done it by ourselves. And then with Bob, our drummer. So it was a new step, and that was kind of a huge learning curve for us as well. And that's kind of how that went. And I guess that's all based underneath the concrete of going through musical theater school, right? So that's kind of the foundation of the music side of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are still playing?
Not as much because we've been so busy with our individual careers as actors, because we're all actors as well. Like Sheldon was out in Ottawa for 6 months. Gotcha. Which pretty much means that we can't play. And then he got back and I got into a theater contract, so we can't play. But we actually have been asked to be a part of a Citadel show. The actual band has been asked to be a part of the Citadel show this coming fall. So our band, except for the bassist, because he's getting his MFA at the U of A, so we have a really good friend who will be filling in for him. We're part of this theater show, but it's our band, ukuleles and stuff. So awesome. Yeah, it'll be really cool. We're very excited. It's kind of it's a huge thing for us.
I'd like to sort of expand a bit more on something you said just a few moments ago, and that is the tools that you need to be an actor or a musician or an artist. What are some of the tools that give you the ability to, fulfill your craft?
Oh my goodness, that's a hard one. I guess like technical skills are important. Those are kind of like somewhat the most least important. Like they're kind of the least important, really though. Like technical, like diction and memorization and ability to sing if you're going to be in a musical, or ability to pick up movement and be comfortable in your body. And then there's like another layer of like confidence and empathy and all that kind of stuff. Like it goes pretty deep, you know.
I'm just trying to imagine.
Yeah.
Getting into that role.
Yeah.
What you have to do, you know, mentally to do that.
I guess it's like I've been teaching at Grant MacEwan actually as well now, just the last 2 years. Me and a very good friend, we teach, and kind of the way that we try and describe it to students is every single role takes a completely different process, in our opinion. Mm-hmm. So if it depending on what it is, you kind of have to approach it a different way, and whatever works, do it. You know, so if it's like, if this person has had a really hard life and their parents both died and they've lived on the street, and you need to go out and feel that, then do it. But if you can imagine it, and you don't need to do that kind of stuff, and just visualize that kind of lifestyle, or then do that. I think the main thing for me is tapping into personal connections and experiences I've had in my life, and trying to put myself in the situation of what that character would be doing if I was this character with their past, or how I would react to it. Mm-hmm. I think every role that I've ever done has a huge part of me in it. And I approach it that way until a director says, "You can't do that. That doesn't work." And it's like, "Oh, okay, let's shift this then." You know, it's a collaboration as well. So you're looking to the people that you're on stage with. You're looking to the people that you're working with. You're looking to the director or the playwright if they're in the room, and it's kind of you draw inspiration from all of them to create this thing together. Yeah. So that's like a 5-hour lecture I probably will never give. Yeah, because people have been writing books on that kind of topic since the beginning of our craft.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I find so intriguing, and I'm so amazed at how actors can do that. It's unbelievable. It's
commitment. It's a sense of escapism, somewhat, not just for the audience but for us as well. You know, without like getting too crazy about it. Like it's not like I don't know what's going on when I'm doing all those things, but yeah, and it's, I don't know, I think it's just fun. You know, to pretend and dress up like I used to when I was a kid, and I just do that for the rest of my life and try and convince people that it's somewhat real, you know? Yeah.
Now, I've seen you in a few plays, but I want to talk more about Nevermore. You blew me away in that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was you at the start. It took me a while to figure out that, that's Ryan.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And the change of your roles, the exaggerated drama that was in that play was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a special one. That's definitely a special show. And it's also a show that was written for us. Like, we came in the very beginning, our incarnation of that show, and depending on our vocal range and the quality of our voice and the style of our movement and what we brought to the piece, that's how it was written.
Okay.
You know, so that's like such a special piece for us, the original castmates, because we were a part of the creation. It was a collaboration in the most, you know, typically it's not like that. Typically you come in, your part's written, and you learn it, and you know, you meet the wardrobe person and they say, "This is what you're wearing," and whereas like the costume designer on this show would come in and see the movement that people are doing.
Okay.
And say, okay, I see that you're doing this. I'm going to make that a bell skirt, so it's going to wobble, so you can do that even more. Or come in and go, just so you know, your character is going to wear this huge bow on his chest. So I think if you can show off that bow more for your character. So it's a huge collaboration. Like, it was just, it's amazing piece of...
That must have been pretty fulfilling.
Absolutely. Yeah, you feel like you're really a actual part of the creation.
The creation.
Yeah.
And finally, I'd like to touch on your photography.
Yeah.
Because I think that obviously takes some of your time too.
Yeah, it does actually.
So tell me about what you do.
I do portrait photography mostly. I specifically feel that I have a niche for headshot photography for actors and anybody in the industry that I am also in. And I kind of also sort of stumbled into it as well. So I don't really have a huge grasp on why I'm doing it as much as the other things in my life. I think it started for me, holding a camera, and taking pictures, started as a thing that I could do myself, that no one else could tell me what to do, that it was one piece in my life where it wasn't, I wasn't relying on a group of people to do it with. I wasn't relying on someone to tell me how to do it. It was something I could just do and just create and make something, and there it is. And I think that's, like, after looking back at why it started. But now it's become a completely separate thing than that, or an amalgamation, or a morph, a mutation of that.
Yeah.
Because I stayed away from headshots for a really long time, because I did a few for friends, because, you know, I had a camera, so people are like, oh, why don't you just do my headshot? And then it was a horrible experience, because I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then long story short, I did a year photography thing where I took a picture every day and posted it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and through that I had some huge ups and some huge downs. And kind of in my lowest time, through that art, through that craft, I was like very down on the stuff that I was making. I was like, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna finish this year, and I'm never gonna take another picture. I hate what I'm doing. I hate it all. Right at that, like at the very pit of that, where I was not interested in doing it, I won a photo contest that I had like I threw a photo into a contest, and I didn't really think anything of it. Like I tried to get people to vote for it and stuff, but it got to a round where judges were actually voting for it, and I won a workshop in Santa Fe at their photographic studios, because that was the prize. And so that was kind of like a, don't stop. I was like, oh, okay. So I took the course, and the course was how to learn studio lights and how to retouch. So I was working with a New York dude who does Maybelline ads and all that kind of stuff, kind of fashion photography and beauty in the studio, and then the lady that he sends those images to retouch. So I took that in the summer for a week. It was just this week, and I came back and I understood how to use a strobe and all this, like everything kind of clicked. And so there was a completely different, all these people I was saying, no, I'm not doing headshots. I was like, I'll do your headshot now. And I came, and this studio is in a garage, and it was a storage unit, because the house that we live in was a renter's house for like 20 years. Yeah. But my wife and her sisters always kind of lived here. So it was never like renters in, renters out. It was always kind of like a continual momentum of people. So there was like 5 couches in here, probably an entire colony of mice, right? So I was like, I'm making it a studio. I need a place to play. So I right after the Fringe, I cleaned this out and I painted it, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. So I needed a place to play. So from that, it became experiences, and now my draw to it is I get to do it from my house. Yeah, it's my own thing. Yeah, I'm doing it for people, but it's also my own thing sometimes. Yeah. There are obviously guidelines, but they're very wish-washy compared to my other life, where it's like, you need to learn these lines, you need to do this. Right. But the main draw for it now is connections.
Yep.
And finding connections with people, and trying to express their true self and find that. So that's, yeah.
And I think coming through all of what we've talked about, each of those elements are important unto themselves, because I think they give you balance with each other, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty important, not only in what you do with your career, but also in our lives, right?
Yeah.
So those are all very important things unto themselves, but also to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel very happy with everything in my life right now. It feels balanced. It's very good. Yeah. It's hectic.
But,
but
you're young.
in a
what's
great
wrong
way.
with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's busy, but busy in a good way. So, and scary, because it's all things that, who knows, like it's not a set thing. It's not like, and then when I get here, I'll get the executive, and then I'll, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Which is something I don't think I could ever do anyway.
No,
So
I don't see that at all.
No.
So Ryan, thanks.
Yeah, thank you
for sitting down and talking to me. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
And it was nice to get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Cool.
You've been listening to Terry Lawson Photography Conversations. I hope you can join me for my next conversation.